The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
What is up, everybody? Episode 118. Happy to be back. Got a great guest on this week's show, Mike Moynihan, baseball collector from YouTube. Got quite a collection, passionate, knows his stuff, and he's another guy with his finger on the pulse of the hobby. Happy to have him on the show. As you know, we don't edit anything out. We keep, however long we talk, we keep it in. So it's a decent-sized conversation. So just so you know, we cut the new release portion out of the show out. You can go to www.sportscardnation.net, see all the new release schedule. And, I didn't want to cut any part of that interview out. We talked about kind of the state of the hobby, grading, a lot of different things going on, a lot of current stuff. And, Mike's very vocal, like myself, and, we neither one of us mince words. So it was a great conversation. We could even probably went longer if we wanted to. I'm going to have him back on as well. So I didn't want to trim anything. I didn't really want to do it over 2 episodes, so I'm just going to do it all today. So if we cut out a segment here, go to the website and sportscardnation.net and check that out. So with that being said, keep the intro short and sweet. Let's get the show started. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
All right. Another week, another turn of events or newsworthy stuff coming out of the grading niche. Last week we talked about PSA raising prices, changing how they do some things, and this week a few other things to talk about with other companies, starting with SGC. They raised their prices from $15 per card to $25. They also announced that they're going to be doing their own podcast. Don't have much information there. And they are back at normal turnaround times. And I can tell you firsthand that is the case. Many people are even saying that they've gotten their cards back 10 to 12 days after subbing. So if you want your stuff back, it's going to cost you $10 more a card, but if you want your stuff back quick right now, SGC, I believe, is going to be the leader in at least that category. So there you go there. CSG, the subsidiary of CCG company, just announced that they've bought another building and now have 21,000 more square feet, making their total square footage for card grading at 82,000 square feet in Sarasota, Florida. They're probably, if you want to call them, the big four. That's kind of how I would rank them. PSA, SGC, Beckett, and CSG. Out of the big four, they're probably the cheapest to sub with. They're just kind of getting underway, so it's too early to really give them a fair assessment. But last week PSA, this week SGC and CSG make some news with some announcements. Golden Auctions continues to rake it in. They had their winter auction, 5,000 lots, and when all the smoke cleared, $45.2 million. That's a lot of cash. Again, I believe it's an average of 9,000 per lot. 5 or 6 of these lots went over $1 million alone. And, it's just amazing where the high-end market has really went. Douglas Duran, you may not recognize that name, but he did business under Every Memorabilia, NEAA Autos, and AwesomeMemorabilia.com, forging autographs. He's going to plea bargain to wire fraud and impersonating a public official, and is going to be sentenced. Probably going to get some prison time here. A lot of charges, and probably not a ton, but enough. He's going to see some time in the big house. All right, Topps is back in the football game. You say what? They've signed a deal with Trevor Lawrence, the Clemson quarterback. Most likely will be the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL football draft. They signed a deal for a 50-card set, and 20 of the cards are going to be designed by his brother and sister-in-law. Kind of neat there, a family affair. The cards will be a direct-to-consumer item coming out in April, and won't have any college or pro logo. So no Clemson or most likely Jacksonville who drafts them. They won't, it'll be sort of the Topps answer to Panini doing baseball with doing football. Be interesting to see, how the market accepts this, how fast they sell, how many sell. Rumored to be about $100 for 20 cards. Yes, there are autos in parallels as customary with most Topps product.
The Sports Card Shop at MoCo is your small-town local shop with a global reach. Conveniently located in New Buffalo, Michigan. We're an easy drive for most residents in Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. Come see us every Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5 and Sundays from 12 to 5. Want to shop from the comfort of your home? Give us a call at 269-469-0140 or visit our website at thesportscardshop@moco.com or our Facebook page. Major credit cards and PayPal accepted, and we ship anywhere in the world. We're an authorized dealer for both Panini and Topps, with new sealed wax from both arriving weekly. And yes, we have PSA and SGC graded cards and over 250,000 singles in stock. Be sure to follow us and turn on notifications for posts to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on new arrivals. The Gocher family has been serving this community for over a decade, so stop by or visit us at thesportscardshop@moco.com.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Commence interview sequence.
Real happy to have my next guest on the One of One Card Shop guest line. I was his guest during Hobby Palooza a few months back, and so it's time to return the favor. Gentlemen, he's around my age, and we share a lot of the same interests, and I've been looking forward to having him on. I told him he was on my list. He reached out to me, so it was serendipity. But without further ado, YouTube sensation, I'll call him, Mike, a.k.a. Baseball Collector. Mike, welcome.
Yo and hello, everybody. What's up?
Now, when it comes to YouTube, I'm a novice. You're an 8-year veteran. Like what just kind of how you got. If you want to kind of combine like you're starting a hobby and then when you launch your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so a lot like you. I was born in '73. Started in the hobby really in 1981. I know you started in '79, but I was a couple years behind you, both in life and in the hobby, but 40 years now in the hobby, right? I mean, and I never stopped. I never had one of those periods where I didn't collect. A lot of people do, they take respites from the hobby. I wasn't one of those guys. I always collected, certainly less than there were periods of less collecting just from a monetary standpoint. I was a broke college student for a while, but I've always loved the hobby, and I remember, opening packs of 81 Donruss, 81 Fleer. It was a kind of an interesting year to join the hobby because it was no longer a Topps monopoly, right? You had Fleer and Donruss join, and I remember putting the cards by team on my floor in my room and rubber bands and shoe boxes, and nobody cared about condition. I didn't care, and I wanted the Rangers. I'm a Texas guy, big Rangers fan. So I always collected, and I was a player collector for a really long time. My first super collection of a player collector was Darryl Strawberry. For some reason, I just liked Darryl Strawberry. I know you're a Mets guy, so
I was going to say that's about as far from Texas as you can get with collecting the players with Strawberry, an LA guy who got drafted by the Mets. So you had West Coast, East Coast. And it's funny how you navigated to him. What do you think it was? I
just liked the way he played. I thought he was flamboyant and had a great swing, that beautiful swing of his, and could launch a ball. That skinny frame, I was like, God, how can a skinny guy like that just crush the ball like he does? I don't know. I was always attracted to home run hitters because then I moved on to Juan Gonzalez and Ruben Sierra. I kind of gravitated towards some Ranger players, Pudge Rodriguez. Then I started super collecting like Michael Young, and then finally Josh Hamilton. And Josh Hamilton was who cured me from being a player collector, let me tell you, because I put tens of thousands of dollars into Josh Hamilton stuff, and I still have it all. I have literally hundreds of one-of-ones, and you name it. I was a super player collector of Josh Hamilton just because I watched him in the 2008 home run derby, and I saw him hit balls that no other human being I think could hit in that home run derby. And when Yankee Stadium is chanting your name, that's pretty cool. And I that night became a Josh Hamilton super collector, and I went nuts on his stuff. And obviously his career did not pan out the way he wanted to. His story of redemption was great, and that's turned into a story of continuing screw-ups, and his career just went down the tubes. And I realized I had all this cardboard that was basically not worthless, but worth less than I paid for it. And I felt like, God, that's such a waste. And I've always been a Hall of Fame fan for sure. Loved collecting the occasional autograph, the occasional card of Hall of Famers. It's not that I didn't like them. I just player collected mostly. And then after the Josh Hamilton thing, I realized, God, I'm just going to collect the greats. I'm just going to collect all the greatest guys. And I went to a Rangers event, and Fergie Jenkins was there, and he was signing, and it was $20 donation to his charity there. Yeah. And I thought, golly, I wonder how many Hall of Famers I can get for $20, and I started searching eBay and all of this. Turns out back then, at least, this is, early 2010s, 2010, 2011, man, you could get a lot of Hall of Famers for $20 or less. And I was like, this is the way to do it, because they're always a Hall of Famer. You can't
take that back.
Yeah, you can't, once and always, once and forever. And so that really appealed to me a lot. The earliest memory of being a Hall of Fame fan was the 83 Donruss Hall of Fame Heroes set by Dick Perez. He did that 44 card set. I have all of those that can be signed. I have them signed. I've gotten those over the years and completed that set and just found that to be much more joyful. And not that I do the hobby. I've never done the hobby for money, but you got to think about it. You can't ignore the financial aspect of it. If you do, you're just going to end up screwing over your family. And I don't want to do that later down the road, hopefully a long time down the road, but at some point. And so I just really started focusing on Hall of Famer stuff. And then I started, trying to get some runs of some different players that I really liked, Mantle and Aaron and Mays. And then I said, well, shoot, I started going, hey, how about from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s on every Topps card and Bowman card that a Hall of Famer is pictured, get all of those in slabs. And so that is my current lunatic project that I'm working on, 2,500, 2,600, however many cards it is. And I'm up to like 70% of them already. And so, again, those have all done very well, obviously, in this hobby environment today. But again, that wasn't the reason I did it. It's just a nice ancillary benefit. And so around 2013, I'd been watching YouTube for a couple of years, and I enjoyed watching hobby content. And I thought, man, I can do this, and I got some cool stuff. Let me start showing it off. And so I did some videos sporadically, and then really late 2017, early 2018, I guess, I really went hog wild into YouTube. I've probably got 800 videos out there between an old channel of mine called Baseball Collector. That's my moniker. I have a channel with that's still active. I just don't post new stuff on it. And then I joined Bench Clear Media, which is a kind of group of guys, Tyson from Breaker Culture, or Ty from Breaker Culture, and Pat Geek and Jam and JD and Up North Collectors, a bunch of guys that contribute. We've kind of got this group of guys together that can contribute content to it. And I just really enjoy being part of that, because it was kind of like, people ask me all the time, why'd you stop doing Baseball Collector? And it's like, well, I'm still doing it. I'm just doing it on another channel, really.
I'm still me.
Yeah, I'm still me. And I wanted to be part of something different. I could keep doing my own videos in perpetuity forever, but that wasn't really getting me excited. And I'd kind of, again, 600 plus videos on the old channel. I'm like, okay, I've been there, done that. Let me try something different. And let's see if we can't grow something that's unique in a hobby through Bench Clear Media. And we've done that. We have several podcasts that are part of that YouTube channels. I've started my own podcast called Golden Age of Cardboard, which I really enjoy doing, which I never would have done without the collaborative effect of working with some other guys like Ty that have helped me do that. So it's really just reignited my passion for content creation and sharing knowledge and all of those things that us old time collectors like to do. We like to talk about that, and we mean it. Like, it's not just we're not just saying it, it's legit. And hopefully that's what you get from my channel. So.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. And like you said, if you're still producing content, whatever it's under, it's still you, it's still your experiences, it's still your journey in the hobby, and nothing wrong with that. And doing well, obviously. And like you said, launching Golden Age of Cardboard, and so you got the audio, you got the visual, you got all the bases covered. I started in audio just because I was always told I had a face for radio. Yeah, so, and I believe it, and I look in the mirror, so I do come to the realization. But all joking aside, Josh, you mentioned Josh Hamilton, and I knew that about you, and I'm one of those guys. I believe in second chances, and you like to see people who kind of turn their life around, and like you said, he did, and then he sort of reverted back. It's that old cautionary tale, and like you said, you sort of learn from that to maybe take the sort of safer road with those guys that did it already, the greats and the Hall of Famers, and you can't go wrong there. Like you said, once you're in the Hall of Fame, they can't strip your title away from you. And I like to do that myself, so I get it. And I also respect you for we all, like, for me, it's Jackie Robinson, being a Brooklyn kid. Even Mattingly, I was a Yankee fan when I was real young, and then Steinbrenner sort of ruined that whole experience for me, and I just kind of went over to the Mets full time. But Munson, for me, was another guy. He was I always tell the story. That's probably the first time I cried over someone dying, and here it is. No one I'm related to. It's just an athlete I admired at a young age, and it's the first time I was really taught kind of what death was. I saw the news come across the TV, and it didn't hit me at 6, 7 years old, and I asked my grandfather, Thurman Munson died. I was kind of asking, like, what does that mean almost? And, I don't even remember the exact words, but basically, he filled in the blanks that, he's not here anymore. And that's when it hit me, and it really, like, sank in, like, yeah, I won't get to see him, behind the plate. And that's the end. I wasn't even necessarily thinking heaven or anything like that. It was just, we're not going to see him play no more. And that was the first player I ever, really got emotional about at a very young age, and learned that it's funny. You usually, as a youngster, you learned about death from unfortunately, like, a family member usually passing away. And here, my story is a little different, and went to the Mets, and they've had their own, you mentioned one in Strawberry and Gooden, and with issues outside the sport that affected, two guys that probably should be in the Hall of Fame themselves, and got sidetracked by those things. And it's always sad, but like you said, the greatness of both of them aren't really, is not arguable. It's just the things that happen off the field that shortened their career, and how they were looked at. But it is what it is, and we've pivoted to do different things, and I appreciate that. So we're going to step away for a quick break to hear from one of our national sponsors, but we'll be right back with more with Mike. Sports Card Nation is back with more from Mike Moynihan. You mentioned the state of the hobby, and it's an inferno right now. It's just almost everything that can go up in price has. We're seeing, you mentioned you're one of the few, and it is rare where, like you said, I didn't really have that get out period. Even myself, where I'm 11 months older than you, I mentioned when my son, who's 21 now, but when he was younger, I had a 3, 4, 5-year period, Mike, where I didn't necessarily get out, but I wasn't active. Like, what I had. I wasn't acquiring anything new. I wasn't selling anything. It was like hitting pause, on the play, on the stereo, just hitting pause on the CD for, I'd say probably about 4 or 5 years. Then when my son got a little bit older, where we could kind of share in some stuff together, I kind of hit play again. And, so even myself was, I don't even think I have 40, maybe with that pause, 36 years or whatever, long time anyway you slice it. But, we've seen a lot of guys that did leave for longer periods of time. You're seeing now get back in because this stuff's making it mainstream. It's on financial news networks. It's on regular news networks, and guys are coming back, and shouldn't say guys, but people are coming back, and they're trying to acquire those cards, those iconic cards they remember. I just did a show on the Hobby Quick Hits, my shortest show, where I talked about some of those cards. The Bo Jackson with his football pads and he's shirtless, and the Jordan SP1 out of 91 Upper Deck, and those cards of those ilk that at the time, you could find in the $1 boxes, $2 boxes. The market kind of got soft on them, and there's no shortage of them. They're not short prints per se. And now those folks are coming back looking for those cards, and we see those things rising up from the ashes again, so to speak, to use a dramatic term. And those things, the bow's going about $15-$20. The Jordan SP1 is insane right now. I just talked about selling 591 Upper Deck sealed boxes for $775. That's what the buyer paid. I mean, it's just insane. You're just kind of take on everything going on, and not just necessarily about those cards, but just the hobby in general right now.
Yeah, it's a frenzy is the word I use a lot, and because everybody's just trying to grab everything, and unfortunately, some of those people are going to get left holding the bag on that deal down the road.
Yeah.
Overall, is it good for is what's going on good for the hobby? I think the answer is unknown. We don't know what the hobby is going to look like in 5 years. It may be just doing great, and it may be a repeat of the junk wax era, which we were both a part of. And I don't care. I guess that's the hardest thing for me is, dude, I'm in this hobby I've been in it 40 years. I hope I'm in it another 40 years. I'll be an old man then. But, there's this thing going on. There's this confluence of situation and circumstances that is making this frenzy absolutely real, and it totally makes sense. And I had this kind of epiphany about it a number of weeks ago and did a video about it actually, because we have this thing that's happening right now called first thing. There's kind of three things that I think are happening, and there's more than these three things, but there's probably 30 things that are contributing to it. But there's an idea called the wealth effect, and I'm a financial planner as my job, and so I think about money and behavioral finance and all these things all the time. I deal with it every day, and the wealth effect is basically a behavioral theory that suggests that people spend more as the value of their assets rise. So think about this, John. If you have a home, you have your 401k at work, all of these different things that are just, you're looking at them on paper and they're just growing, and you're like, wow, I'm worth more money. You feel better, right? You don't necessarily have a higher income. You're still making the same amount of money. You still probably have the same budgetary constraints and same expenses, but you feel wealthier, and that causes people to unconsciously spend more money, because they just feel like I'm better off. And the stock market's helped with that lately. The home market has helped with that. People just feel wealthier, and that wealth effect is real, and people just spend more. And usually when they spend that extra, that more money, they're spending it on things that aren't necessities, like rent and food and gas and all that kind of stuff. That's real. That's a real thing, and it's happening. It's happening and coming into sports cards. Then you've got this idea of found money, which I think is a huge part of this. And found money, I think, you can break that down into two ways. Number one, found money. Think about this, John. If you are walking down the street and you see a $20 bill on the ground and you pick it up and you've found that money, you're thinking, man, I'm taking the wife out to Sizzler tonight or something. You're thinking, how can this is extra money. I'm going to have fun with it, right? You found it. You didn't have to earn it. You weren't out digging ditches to earn it. And so your mental aspect towards that money is different. Your frame of mind is different towards found money versus if you had to go and dig ditches for an hour to earn $20, man, that's going towards bills. I got to be really smart how I spend that. And we've got two sources of found money in the hobby right now. Number one is, let's think about it. Believe it or not, most people are still working in America despite COVID. I know there are a lot of people that are struggling, and the stimulus checks are huge for them to keep their lifestyle. I get it. But by and large, Americans are still working and earning an income, and they can't do as much to spend it as they normally would because of COVID. And therefore, they're finding alternative ways to spend it. And they get these extra stimulus checks. And I've heard it time and time again, as I'm sure you have. People are spending at least part of that money, if not all of it, on sport. They're like, hey, I dug out my sports card collection during COVID, yada, yada. And I started buying some stuff. And they don't know, these new people coming back in the hobby don't know that that $20 card should really only probably be a $5 card. They just see it and they buy it and they go, all right, that's what they go for. Okay, $20, whatever. And then the second part of found money, which I think is huge, huge, huge. So many people that are in the hobby and have been in the hobby are seeing the rise in prices, this meteoric soaring of prices. And they take their card that they paid $10 for and they sell it for $100. And they had to do nothing more than put it on eBay. So they have a $90 profit. That is another part of found money that now if I have this profit, I'm more willing and apt to go spend that on reinvest that into the hobby because it's hobby money. I only put in $10. It's like winning it at the casino. You're playing with house money, right? You're like, man, I'm good to go. I'll bet more than I would normally bet, at that casino with house money. If it's not my money, I'll bet all day, right? I'll bet with other people's money all day long. And that's what we're doing that's what is happening transaction after transaction. And imagine the multiplicative effect of that throughout the entire hobby. You selling boxes, even wax, right? Man, I bought this wax for $50 and now I sold it for $500. Great. That's $500 more dollars I can put in the hobby. And you will, again, unconsciously spend more on other things because you didn't really do anything to earn the money other than post it on eBay or sell it privately through Facebook or whatever. You didn't have to work for it. It just kind of fell into your pocket. And so we spend that differently. Does that all make sense? Do you agree with that? Like, does that?
No, I think you're right on with it, Mike. I think, and listen, I don't know about you, but I can speak, I can test, self-confessional. I've done that. I think most of us have, you do, you sell something, like you said, let's say I have $50 in it and I sell it, like you mentioned, $500, you feel like you sort of, the momentum swings your way and like, hey, that card that was sort of on my list that I was kind of just putting off, I'm going to go look for it now and see, still try to get the best deal on it and be smart about it. But I'm more apt to pull the trigger, like you said, than before that sale occurred, obviously. And you sort of lose those inhibitions that you might have had without them. And I think you're right. I think the stimulus checks is something I've talked about on this show, Mike. Is those not so much even me personally. We did get a hot tub this year. That's where some of our stimulus money went. But maybe if you're a single guy and cards are your thing and you're working and you get that stimulus check and you're not necessarily behind on your bills, and that's just frankly extra bonus money that you can put in any direction you want. I think, like you said, I think that a lot of it's going into the hobby. Like, hey, there's $1,400. My rent's paid, my mortgage is paid for this month. My fridge is full, and what cards do I want? What do I want to open? What cards do I want to buy? And like you said, that's happening. That's not just a random thing. I think it's a very common thing, and you got a lot of people doing that. Like you said, I think you called it the perfect storm. I think you got a lot of different things happening at the same time. If you remember, those that seen that movie will know what we're talking about. You had 3 different things coming in, and you mentioned a few all different things. Now you also have some people who are working from home. There's, like you said, they're still employed, but they don't have to travel to an office. And let's be real, right? I do it at work. So, if you're at home, you're maybe looking, you got that eBay tab open as well on your, along with your Microsoft Office, and just quickly like open it up and hit the search, type in something to search. And so more downtime, or if you will, to make those purchases than you would under normal times.
And there's another thing, so we got the wealth effect affecting it, this perfect storm. You've got the found money idea with the different components there. But John, this is for real, man. Wall Street is paying attention, and there is serious money coming in here in the United States. And even more so, there is a wave of cash coming from China and other overseas places where money is coming in to buy sports cards as assets, as investments. I'm not a big sports cards as investments kind of guy. I look at it as a hobby, as a collectible, and that doesn't mean you can't make money in collectibles, but I don't look at them as an investment. And, to each their own. If you think that way, that's fine. But believe me, when there's money to be made, Wall Street's going to pay attention, and there are funds being created and groups being created, investment groups, where all they're doing is buying sports cards. You see it now manifesting itself with Collectible and Rally and all these different places that are auctioning off shares, selling off shares of huge sports cards. I think it's an absolute, novelty, and like, why would I want to own a piece of a card? I want to own the card. Like, I don't need to own one
now,
share.
Full disclosure, like I do them. I just dabble in them. I'm not putting a ton of money in there. It's sort of that, disposable. Like I said, one of the cards for Jackie that I've never acquired, and it's my own fault. I had opportunities. Yeah. And so that came up on the fractional market, and I bought, I think, 4 or 5 shares of it. And again, it's not, I don't have the card. I get it. But it's probably, unless I buy a very, very poor copy, and probably have to do that sooner than later. That's probably the closest I'm going to get. And so, I have a sentiment. It's more sentimental. I'm not foolish. I'm not, I know I don't have the card. I'm not under false pretenses. I know what it is. But even with these fractionals too, Mike, is some of these folks are doing it, not necessarily me, but some of these folks are doing it just to turn around and buy share at $20, and when the card sells at a certain level, I'll get $42 a share. And so, that's 200% over 200% ROI. And so some people like you, now I will say this, the cards are an asset class. They can be an investment. I didn't get, when like you said, and I got started in 79 as a 7-year-old kid, I was not thinking that. And I still don't necessarily think that. That's not where my main interest lies. But, I've also been a store owner, and I started doing shows at age 15. So the money, to be fully transparent, the money's sort of been a part of the hobby, but I didn't get in it for that reason. And if the money stopped, like you said, I'd still be here. So it just kind of goes along with it. But, like you said, if the market crashed, I'm still going to be in the hobby, and same here. I feel the same way. And I get that question a lot. I'm sure you do, is like, how does this end? Is the bottom going to fall out? Is it going to be a correction rather than a crash? Which is where my answer falls. It's more going to be things are going to come back down. Where you mentioned like, hey, this card really should be $5, but it's 20 right now. I think you'll see that stuff kind of go back. And like you said, some folks probably going to be holding that bag, and that's going to be on them. And so I see it as a correction. I don't see the hobby's too strong. There's too many people, even if there was a little bit of an exodus of people that leave. I think the strength of the hobby, even pre-pandemic, sort of was the buffer to fuel what you said, those things that have factored into people buying more cards, getting in the hobby, that overseas money coming in, and now you see these high-end auctions, and a lot of that, some of that is some overseas money, some of that is just what I call pandemic-proof folks. Well, millionaires and billionaires who, it's true. The pandemic, short of illness, is not going to affect those folks financially, so they can spend $5.2 million on a Mickey Mantle card, where me and you, no such luck. So it's just, it's just a crazy. You just got, you said it. There's just so many. It's not, a lot of years you can say it's this thing. It's one thing. I know what it is. There's a lot of I know what it is, and everything you said, I actually agree with. I think you hit it right on the head, and it's just like you said, the perfect storm. You got all sorts of different torrents and currents, and just all together, it's just got this thing. It's an inferno right now, and we see it bounce. It goes to vintage, and now it's in the Marvel, and then wrestling cards blew up, and if you're smart and you can do your homework and get in on whatever's next before it actually gets there, you're gonna make, let's be real, you're gonna make some money, and it's just a crazy time.
Yeah, and I better clarify. It's not that I don't think people can't use cards as an investment, as an asset class. I just don't think it's just a personal opinion. It's a personal take on it. There are people doing it, no doubt, and they're totally looking at it that way. So, and what I think that creates is a sustainability to this for the next few years. It would be shocking to me if something happened before that. And can you even imagine this may be a good segue to our next topic,
and we'll continue that train of thought after we hear from Pastime Marketplace. They make the best graded cases on the market, and I'm happy to have them as one of my sponsors. Here you go. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. And remember to save 10% off your total order. Use the promo code SCN10. That's capital S, capital C, capital N, 10 for 10% off your total order at pastimemarketplace.com. We are back with Mike Moniyhan.
can you even imagine what the National is going to be like this year if it happens in Chicago with the frenzy of the sports card market? It's going to be nuts.
It is going to be insane. I mean, I'm hearing things, I'm sure you're hearing the same things. Maybe it gets moved or bumped a little bit later. I would not be opposed to that. I would love to go to Texas. I've never been.
I've heard it's moving either to Dallas. They're looking into moving it to Dallas or Houston because our COVID constraints are significantly less than Chicago, let's say. And so like down here, I mean, people are wearing masks, but by July, it's going to be. Now, can they logistically do that? I don't know if the National could pull that off. And I'm not saying that these are just rumors that I've heard. I know nothing concrete at all.
Yeah.
This isn't a breaking story or anything. I'm just saying that
this just in.
No, but I've heard from people that do know what's going on, that they are at least discussing it. And that would be great for me. There hasn't been the last National here was in 1990, and I went to it. It was here in Arlington, and that was great. If I could just stay at home and not have to buy. I mean, I'm already booked for Chicago, so I guess I'm.
That's my thing. If they're going to do that, Mike, and I'm not opposed, I'll redirect south to Texas, and I'd be no qualms about it or arguments from me. If they're going to do that, I guess my only thing I'd say is like, let's do it sooner than later. Don't do it last minute when people may not be able to get out of arrangements, or it may screw them up where now they can't go. You know what I mean? Like, so I think if you want to be proactive, if that's something, being that it has been a lot of shows in Texas, even during the pandemic, and it's just a better venue considering under the circumstances, then make that call sooner than later. You know what I mean?
But we are in March, right? I mean, it's close.
That's what I'm saying.
it'll be here before we know it into July.
Yeah.
And you're right. I agree with you that if they are going to make that call, they should do it as soon as absolutely possible. I mean, I'm going no matter what. So, I mean, I just love the National. It is an experience in the hobby. There's so many new people in the hobby. They don't even know what the National is all about. And
yeah, my first one was 2019. Believe it or not, for as long as I've been in the hobby, Mike, my first one was the Chicago one in 2019. I had visions of what I thought it would be like for never going, and you can throw those out the window until you get there. Like, holy smoke! I don't know if I'm the first person. I should patent this, Mike, and I don't know if I'm the first person. I call it the Super Bowl of the hobby. If you know anything about the Super Bowl, everyone is there. And it's celebrities, athletes. It's just the mecca. It's just that every year, anyone tries to go and tries to get there or gets there, and it's just a great event. And you need to, when I went in 2019, I was there 4 days, and I would say I got probably 80% of taking it all in. But you got to be there. If you can be there the whole week, which is my plan this year, that's what you need. If you can do it, that's your best bet, because there's just so much going on.
I get questions about it, and it's, what's it like? And I'm like, I can't describe it. You can't understand the scope of it. You can't understand the size and the vastness of everything and how much different things you can see. I mean, if it exists, it'll be there. And you'll see it. You may not be able to afford it, that's for darn sure, but it'll be there. We actually, Bench Clear Media, we're going to have a booth this year at the National. Great, because it'll be a place where I can park my stuff, and that's the biggest thing. But it's just one of those things that nobody can understand until you go. I can't do it justice by trying to describe it to you. And I would tell people, if you can go for one day, you should still go. Just don't expect to get anything other than just a cursory look at what's going on. But if you really need at least 3 or 4 days to encompass the experience of the National. Going for one day is better than not going at all. I will say that is absolutely true. But you're going to leave severely disappointed that you can't stay longer.
Yeah, it's like leaving the fair early. You know what I mean? But no, you're right. The longer you can go, the better. Even the 4 days I went, I felt like I missed something. I know I missed something. I didn't know what I missed because it was my first one, but I felt like I didn't cover all the bases, as they say. And so,
what's your favorite night of the National or day or whatever?
If when it comes to buying stuff, I think your best bet, if you can stick around. This kind of goes for any show, Mike. I think you know where I'm going here. Is the last day. People want to make those last sales, take less back with them. Maybe if the show hasn't been great for them, they might be apt to sell something a little cheaper. And so if you're looking for some deals at the end, it's Sunday, but as people, before they're just about to pack up. The day I came in on Thursday late, so I don't even really count that. And so Friday was my first day, and there in Chicago, I just that day I just walked around and met people that wanted to meet me and talk and hang out. Saturday I did some interviews for the show, and then Sunday was kind of shopping day. I didn't buy. I probably bought something, but I really kind of saved Sunday for, like, if you're going to buy anything, save it kind of for Sunday, and so that's where I did most of my spending, if you will, was the last day.
Yeah, I have actually a little bit different take, and I'll share it with your listeners.
Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite day is Wednesday, and it's the sneak preview day. And the reason it is, and I agree with what you're saying about Sunday, by the way, I'm not disagreeing with that, but when I go, think about by Sunday, it's gone. A lot of it's gone.
Yeah.
Wednesday, everything is there. I have everything. If I'm like, when the first year I went, or not the first year, A couple of years ago when I went, one of your recent guests, Eric Those Back Pages, and I walked around and looking for a Hank Aaron rookie. And on Wednesday, I bought it on Wednesday. Well, I had every Hank Aaron rookie just about in the whole place for me to look at and choose from. Versus on Sunday, all the good ones have been quote unquote picked through, maybe, right? Nothing's been picked through at this point. I have the entire world as my oyster, so to speak, on Wednesday and Thursday too. So those early days are great. I think, again, it's just two different perspectives. Both are good, right? I just think.
No, I think we're both right. I think we're both right. I think the risk of waiting till Sunday is that you may miss out on a specific card that's gone, or maybe in the shape you wanted it's not available, or the price you wanted it is not available. So that's the risk. Anytime you wait, you may miss out. So yeah, I think we're both right. In my defense, I haven't been to a preview day yet, so
it's awesome.
I can't.
You got to go.
Yeah.
It's really a great vibe on Wednesday. Everybody's excited. They're not tired yet. They're not exhausted.
Giddy.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I think dealers, what I'm curious to see this year, most of all, is how much dealing goes on. I never paid sticker price on a single item that I bought at any national I've ever been to. I don't know that that'll be the case now, because they can just wait for someone else to come along, and someone's going to pay their price most likely. So I think they're going to be a lot more patient and not be willing to deal as much, because there might be someone down the road that versus, hey, I don't know if, let's say I'm looking at a 71 Topps Roberto Clemente or something. Well, I might be the only guy in the next 3 days that asks about that card. So they've been more inclined in the past to take the money, bird in the hand, right? I'd rather have the money, maybe a little bit less than sticker, to get this card sold. I'm there to sell cards. I'm there to move inventory. That's their whole purpose. And so it'll be interesting to see this year, that dynamic. And I don't think the deals will be as great no matter when.
No, I think you got a point there. I think here's the other thing, pandemic or no pandemic, the hobby's just crazy right now. I think they're going to set, I don't know what the fire code, depending on where it's held, whether it stays in Chicago or is moved to your neck of the woods, as they say, but they're going to have no shortage of people in either case. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how, I've even heard, I'm sure you've heard this too, that they're almost going to sell tickets for time slots. Like, hey, you can be in the building from 10 to 2, and then this next group's coming in at 2 to 5 or 2 to 6 or whatever it is. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know how you feel. I understand it given the circumstances and the pandemic, but it's almost like, when someone's traveling from out of state and in some cases out of country, and I know they're not doing it to be mean. It's not that sort of tactic, but I just don't like sort of the fact that, hey, you leave, you guys come in. I hope they can get into a venue, and maybe with the vaccine now, some of the early promising numbers that are coming back with the vaccine, that in other words, we could potentially avoid that kind of scenario. Your kind of thoughts. I'm sure you heard that. And
how would you police that? I don't know how they would police that. How would you kick out half the people?
You probably have colored. The way I would guess, probably a colored band. So if we were in the early group and we had a blue colored band, and hey, you guys, all right, you guys your time's up, and then here comes the orange bands. The people with the orange bands.
I think it'll also make the VIP tickets even more valuable, because they get in a little bit early every day. I doubt they would do that to the VIP holders. It'll be probably the single day ticket guys, people that are buying single day tickets, that they would put the time slot thing on. So I think the VIP becomes even more valuable. You and I are lucky, I'm going to have a booth, and I also have a media pass. So being a YouTube guy, I get a media pass, so I get to be there
Yeah,
whenever.
yeah. I'll have I had a media pass in 2019. So that's nice because you get in earlier before everyone else does. That was a real nice perk of that, and so yeah, that I hate to see. I'm not even just speaking for myself, just in general. I hate to see, hey, you guys got to leave or your time's up. I'm not. I hope that I get if they have to do it. I understand why. I just hope we can avoid
Me
that
too.
scenario if possible. And if that's moving it to Dallas or Houston, then move it to Dallas. With all due respect, the people in Chicago are probably listening right now saying, "What are you saying, John? Terrible. I'm not listening to you ever again." I love Chicago. It's not a Chicago thing. It's like, listen, it stinks we're in this pandemic, but let's do, and eventually we're going to be on the other side of it where, the protocols will be a lot less than we're dealing with. And so if we have to move it this year to accommodate more people and not be limiting to access, then I'll sign up for that. I have people in Chicago like, well, I don't want. I want it here, and I get it. I would too, probably if I was in Chicago. But as someone who's in New York, I just want to have as less perimeter. I wanted everyone to be safe. I'm not saying like, hey, let's just act like nothing's going on. But at the same time, the less limitations we can have, where everyone that wants to enjoy what I call the Super Bowl, the hobby. Let's all be able to do it without sort of time constraints, if you will. And, I had Chris Carlin on the Hobby Hotline, which is a Saturday morning show. And that was this past week. And he said, as of right now, I was a little surprised. I didn't know. They said Upper Deck is not planning on attending the National. And he said, you might be surprised. There might be a few other companies that make that decision with their employees. I was a little shocked, and so I hope we get. I know we're in the pandemic. I just hope we get as close to a normal, if you will, the sort of national as we can. And again, if that's moving it to, if moving it to Dallas allows Upper Deck to attend or another company, then you have to do it, And
well, Dallas, think about this. If moving it means we get to have it, we should move it. They should move it. If it's we either cancel it, I mean that shouldn't even be on the table. They've already done that. So it's either move it, just make sure we can have it somewhere. And Dallas makes a lot of sense. I mean, Panini's here, Beckett is here. There's a lot of logic to a North Texas National.
It always amazed, not to cut you off, Mike. It always amazed me why you didn't have one there just anyway. Like it's the sort of the try, it's sort of the heart. I hate to say it like that, but probably the heart of the hobby where, like, why isn't it? I'm not saying every year. That's not necessarily fair to the other venue. I'd love to see the Nationals just kind of East Coast, Central, Southwest, and Dallas is perfect with, like you said, with all the major companies. I like to see it sort of, whether it be 3 or 4 or 5 cities, whatever you settle on, just sort of like this year we're here, this year we're here, this year we're here.
It used to be
Dallas, Dallas, you're going to be, 2021, 2026, 2031. You can kind of even plan years in advance ahead. And, Atlantic City or whatever. I'm a New York City kid. I know there's a lot of issues there with parking and venues, but I'd love to see it. I know some people are like hearing me saying no, but I'd love to see it, be in New York. I'm not in New York anymore city, but I'm only 200 miles away. So and I have family there. So it would be perfect for me, but I'll travel too. But I'd like to see, when you think, Tops is in Brooklyn. And so I'd love to see it, in the city as well. California, for those folks on the West Coast, I almost feel bad for them. They have to do most of the traveling, like all the time, whether it's in Chicago or Atlantic City, or where have you. They're doing the most traveling. I like to see it sort of everyone sort of get it in their neighborhood, so to speak, and that way no one can gripe, hey, it never comes here. We're not there yet. I'm sure there's reasons for that, logistically, venues, hotels, parking. There's a lot, people don't realize all the different things that go into these major events. And if one thing doesn't jive, it can throw the whole thing where it ain't going to happen. And so, it's one thing's for sure. Like you said, I think it's, even during the pandemic, I've heard some people say I'm not going until this thing's over, and I respect people's personal beliefs and opinions. I still think it's going to probably set attendance records if it's allowed to, and if those people can all be there. And it'll be interesting. The Nationals interesting under normal circumstances. I think it's all the more interesting. I wish we weren't in the pandemic, but it's going to be interesting to see where this thing winds up and how the logistics, how it goes down.
For sure.
But like you said, I don't think you can cancel it a second year in a row. Not when you're seeing other shows, and there's been a couple some shows in Dallas. One was called like the de facto national, and so
huge shows.
You can't. You know what I mean? I understand safety. I don't want to sound insensitive, but how you have to put it on, like you said, I think you got to do it. I don't think you want to go 2 years without having one.
Right. I agree.
So, all right, quick break to hear from Hot Box Cards, your monthly subscription wax pack service, providing great packs when you can't find them on the retail shelves. Hey, folks, tired of going to the retail store and finding the wax shelves cleaned out bare? I've got the answer for you, and that answer is Hot Box Cards. They offer a monthly subscription service at a great price level. What's better than getting a box of sports cards on your doorstep every month? Not a whole lot, and these boxes don't cost a whole lot. Let me tell you what's in each and every hot box. 3 Relic Auto cards, 3 unopened hobby packs, 50 bonus cards featuring stars, rookies, semi-stars, inserts, and parallels. And 1 in every 5 boxes has a red-hot envelope with a surprise card. They also honor expired redemptions with a comparable item, so there's no worry about getting that old redemption card with nothing to show for it. Check them out at www.hotboxcards.net and put in promo code SCNation. SCNation all in caps to save even a little bit more money. March is Mystery March, where every box gets a black envelope with a clue about what player is inside. Sports Card Nation is back with Mike Moniyhan. You're big into grading. I'm big into grading. I saw you recently did a video where you stacked up all your graded cards. I used to think I had a lot, and then I saw that video and realized I better buy some more. So talk about things that make you spend more money. So you have quite the inventory. I don't apologize for being active in grading. I've said on my show, when grading first really hit the scene, I thought it was kind of a fad that would fade. I'll be the first person to say I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times, I grade cards. I buy cards graded. I submit, and it's sort of a hot button topic. People who don't like grading or don't submit cards, sort of, I don't know how I want to word, but I think, when they might take some shots, they really kind of, complain or just tell people who grade like me and you how it's silly, it's stupid, you're throwing your money out, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know where it comes from. Kind of your thoughts as someone who's been in the grading for a while. Have you caught that from even if maybe not so much in person, but just on social media or comments? People who are anti-grading, if you will.
It's funny. It's I felt the same way you did early in the grading. In my grading experience was like, why do I want to pay somebody else money to grade my card? I don't care. Well, I started caring because I started buying higher dollar cards, and it was more of an authenticity thing for me.
Yep.
I wanted, like, I couldn't tell. As long as I've been doing this, it's hard to tell some of the fakes sometimes. And not that PSA or SGC, none of them are perfect by any stretch, but it's still at least another set of eyes beyond just mine determining A, is this card real? And B, what do they have what's their opinion on what the condition is? And what the funny thing is I get comment wise is I might buy a certain card in a PSA 4 and they're like, oh, why didn't you just save up and buy the 8 or what, and buy a better grade? And I'm like, dude, I just want the card. I want a real card, a nice example. And we all have hobby budgets. There's only there's always somebody with a bigger boat, but at the same time, we all have a number that I can't just spend whatever I want on cards in any given month. And so I have to go, if I can get 4 cards of a lower grade than 1 card in a nicer grade, the whole quantity versus quality thing, this is just the way I collect. I want the quantity. I want the different cards. I want 4 in lower grades than the 1 in a great grade, because it's not about the money, right? Yes, the 1 in the great grade could probably appreciate more in value, but I'm not selling it anyway. So what do I care? And that's the way I look at at grading. I love it. We did an interview. Ty did an interview on Bench Clear Media. If you haven't seen it, with Tyler from Hybrid Grading Approach HGA, they are hitting it hard, and they are storming in. Now PSA is going to be the big dog for.
Here's my thing, Mike, too, with HGA, and I haven't had Tyler on, and I know he's claiming, and again, fully automated. To me, I got to see it. Like, anyone can say they're doing that. I'm not saying he's not doing it. I'm just saying, when you're new, I think you got to show your hand. I think if PSA or BGS said, "Hey, we've incorporated automation into our process," I think they have a little more street cred, where someone's not going to say, baloney, show us or we don't believe you. I think with HGA, with all due respect, I want to see that, because I think when you're sort of new kid on the block and you make that claim, and I hope it's true. I'm not rooting against the company, but like, I think the onus is on you as someone who's new to the space to show that that's the actual fact. It's
you have to admit competition is good, right? And
no, I'm all for that. I'm all for, and the 3 I use are PSA, Beckett, and SGC, and probably more PSA and SGC recently. And let's be real, the HGA slabs are probably some of the sharpest and most attractive on the market right now. I mean, they're sharp. We were probably given an award show for like best slab. They probably win it. All I'm saying, I guess, Mike, is like, if they are automated, I'm not saying they aren't. To me, when you make that claim as a new company, I think the onus is sort of like to show it. And I know
I get it.
He's been asked, not by me, but he's been asked by other people to, hey, can we see the process? And there's always sort of been, I don't want to use, maybe excuse is not the right word, a reason I can't do it right now. And
if you have some proprietary method that you're using to do this, you want to protect that. You don't want to just put it out there.
I get it, but you think PSA with their coffers is, you know what I mean, can't do something on there? Like, I don't think PSA is going to look, and I'm using them as an example, there's others too, is going to look at that and say, man, we can't come up with that. He's got the Colonel Sanders secret recipe. I don't think it's, and again, I don't know. It's easy for me to play armchair grading company CEO. I get it, and I understand that if someone's saying, hey, that's easy for you to say, John, it's not your property, or like Mike said, your propriety on the program or on the software. And so I get it, or show at least something. I'm not saying you just, completely open the door, but show us some facet that this is how the process is going. Because, I could come on the air tomorrow and say, 2 days ago, me and my son started a fully automated grading company, right? We didn't, but I said it, right? And some people might believe it. Most probably wouldn't. But I guess what I'm saying is when you're kind of new, and maybe it's not, I'm not even saying it's fair. I'm not even saying the premise is fair. It probably isn't. But when you're new and you kind of stake that claim, you sort of got to me, show something that it's actual, truth to it rather than just a statement. I think if PSA, even SGC or Beckett said, hey, starting in April 1st, we're doing automation in these terms. Some people would probably say, "Hey, show us what it is." Maybe even me, but I think they could get away with it more. I guess saying, "This is what's happening," and less people say, "Show me." They would just say, "Hey, they got the funds and the finances and the wherewithal. They're doing it." When you're new, the new kid on the block, someone like me might say, all right, it's like weight room, right? Hey, I can bench 450, right? No, you can't. Well, let's go to the weight room. Oh man, I got a doctor's appointment after school. I got to go, right? It's maybe not the best analogy right there, Mike, but along those lines. Yeah,
I think if you don't think, come on, PSA with Nat Turner and the new investment group, that's one of the first things I think they're going to figure out is how to. And look, they have raised prices, right? That's the news when we're recording this. That came out today that they essentially doubled all of their submission prices, and they are doing. My opinion, they have done that to stop the flow of cards. They do not want any more cards, or if they are. Cards they're going to get, they're going to mint on them. I
think you're exactly right, but I think that business model is sort of funny. Like raise prices so we get less business. If you said that in most, if you just put that as a general business statement, most people, economists would say, well, what are you trying to do? Go out of business? But for the grading, it's a whole monster of itself. And I think you're exact. That is why they're doing it. Let's be real. I don't necessarily like it. I understand it. But I guess it's easy again, playing armchair CEO grader of me. I would just say, why were you not sort of prepared a little bit better for this kind of intake? I don't think you can ever be prepared what we're seeing in the grading space. I'll give them that much, but SGC got buried when PSA and Becker was shut down, and they thought they were prepared for it, and not so much. And so they're all. No one's immune. I'm not picking on anyone. I just. I don't know what the answer is. That's the funny thing, but I just hate the fact that it's raising prices is the answer for that problem. I
don't think it's forever. I really don't.
Yeah, but how often do you see them say, "Okay, we're lowering prices back down"? I
don't know that they'll do it. Carte blanche across the board, but I think they'll start offering more specials. And there used to be you could grade cards for $550 a card, $450 a card, right? And if you look at the HGA model, which I've never sent cards to HGA in full disclosure. I think it's a cool idea. I like the idea of adding competition, not just any competition. I want to see competition that makes a cool. I like their slabs too. I happen to like their flips. I know it's very divisive in the community. Some people hate them. They hate the colors and all. I think it's super cool, actually. I think it's neat. But I've never sent any cards to them, so I'm just putting that out there. But I think that them coming in, if you look at their pricing, it's fixed. It's not. I've never understood this, and maybe John, you can answer this for me, or maybe somebody out there can. Why does PSA put a value limit on up to $4.99. Does it cost more money to grade a $10,000 card than it does a $200 card? It's the same process.
I know you said you listen to the show. I know you listen to the show when you're saying that, because I've said that for
get it
a while. Like upcharges, like it's like you said it perfectly. You're grading one card. It should take however long it takes. If you're taking 20 minutes to give me my grade or 10 minutes to give me my grade, it's still one card. I don't care if it's a Jose Akendo or a LeBron James Topps Chrome rookie. Like, just say what condition you assessed it in. Like, you're penalizing me or others for having a good card. Like, we're gonna just milk you. I'm like the golden cow, right? I got a $5,000 LeBron James card, so we're just gonna squeeze. I'm like an orange. Just get all the juice out of me you can. I don't think that's really fair.
But HGA doesn't have that. They are cards. It's $35
the way it should
card.
Be. They
no
should
matter
all.
What it is.
Upcharges are the biggest. I've heard people actually just come right out and call it a scam, Mike. I'll go right to that line and sort of straddle it. I think it's baloney, I mean, and that's a whole gray area, when you say, well, this card did. What about those cards that are sort of borderline, right? And I don't know, man. I just think charge per card, whatever the charge is, that's you set the pricing,
right,
and it's up to us. Yeah, we'll grade it for $20 or $25, or if we want it faster, $200 or whatever, depending on what it is. But not, hey, we got this, and man, that's a great card. Now it's going to cost you $300 more. Like
they do the same thing They do the same thing on autograph authentications too. It's the same deal.
Like, I hate it. I'm not going to mince words. I know you don't like it either. Like, pay. You buy a hand. You go to a restaurant, you order a meal. The price is on the menu, right? They don't say, "Man, the chef did a great job with your steak." I know it says $35, but it's going to be $50 now. This is probably one of the better steaks he's made here, and we'll have to upcharge you for it. So. I don't get it. It's just, I don't know. It's just silly. It amazes me that, people still do it as much, but listen, when you're the leader in the space, you can probably get away with that more than if you weren't. I think that's what it proves. With Nat Turner acquiring it and his investment group, a lot of people are like, "Oh man, he's a collector like us. He's going to fix a lot of the things we feel." And I said on my show, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not saying Nat Turner's a bad guy. Actually, from all accounts, he's a really good down to earth guy. But he builds businesses, right? He's there. And now it's not like he just went in himself. He's got a whole bunch of other people who put their money in there with him. And I think it'd even be a little different if it was all 100% Nat Turner. That's not what this is. And so I told people, pump the brakes here. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think this is going to be like a knight riding in on a white horse to fix all the ills that we say there are. And, maybe some of them, hopefully, I was hoping one of the things he would do as someone who probably maybe got some of those upcharges on his stuff before he took over, was I thought maybe he'd come in and say, listen, we might raise prices like we saw today, Mike, but this upcharge business is going away. You pay the price level and that's it. Whether you have a LeBron James or you have, a Matthias Thybulle, you know what I mean? You paid for the card, we grade the card. If it's $200 quick turnaround or the $25 when we can get it back to you, it's one card either way. And he could still do that. I'm not closing the book on that, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. Might have been just wishful thinking on my part, but and maybe others too. But I just was when this whole thing went down, I was sort of like, wait and see. I'm not going to just hook, line, and sinker say this is really what's going on here. This is a huge company, a huge enterprise, a huge money making enterprise, and when you have that many people involved with their money, he's answering to a few people. I know they're privatized now, so it's not the same thing as answering necessarily the shareholders, but in a sense it is, because those people who invested with him are shareholders, private shareholders. Yeah. And so they're still shareholders. It's just not me and you going to E-Trade and buying stocks of Collectors Universe. Now they're just people who've put a good sum of money into that pot, and like you said, they care about what comes back. Maybe not even right away, but eventually. And so it'll be interesting to see today's news. I didn't take it as good news. I in life where everything goes up from your cable bill to your electric bill, I always like to see one thing not do that, and not the case today. I get, like you said, I understand why. I get it. They're trying to catch up, and that part's good. I just think, is there a way to do it without, that much of an increase across the board? And, I don't know. I'm sure there's smart people in that room, and that's still what they came up with. So it is what it is, as the New York saying goes, and,
right.
As consumers, we have choices to make now. All right. One more quick break to hear from another one of our great sponsors, One of One Card Shop. One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. Sports Card Nation is back with Mike Moynihan. Someone asked me today, what do you think? There was a lot of people, I think, upset, and some that weren't as much, and said, here's why, and this is good. It'll stop those base cards, from being submitted. And but I think more were upset, and a few people private messaged me, said, what do you think happens with this? And the PSA is still going to do well. I just think you're going to see some of the other companies, whether that's HGA, definitely SGC. You got CSG now as well going live. I think you're going to see them get an influx of more cards, and then the onus is on them. How are they going to handle the huge increase of cards going through their door? If they can do a good job getting those back quickly into the hobbyist hands, PSA might get interesting there. If what happens is what happened with SGC, 5-6 months ago, then PSA probably doesn't have to worry as much, because they can't handle the overflow. And so we'll see. I mean, that's my take. I think it's going to trickle down. Some people aren't going to submit to PSA, and these other companies are going to benefit from that. How do they handle it is probably the bigger question.
Well, you mentioned earlier, how does any business raise their prices and expect to stay in business? And I would let me give you this analogy to think about as we kind of wrap up here. If I could tell you, John, and this goes for anybody out there, that you could work half as hard, like half as long, but make the same salary. That's essentially what PSA is doing. They're going to get less cards, but they're going to make twice as much per card. They can take in half as many cards, have half as much work, and make the same revenue. And that's what if we would all take that deal. I'm going to work half as hard, but make the same salary. That's a great deal for PSA. They can catch up. That'll give them some bandwidth to do some new technology, to maybe do some innovations on the grading side. That's going to give them that ability and still maintain their revenue. They're not necessarily probably going to go up in revenue. We may be surprised. Who knows? 6 months from now, they're still getting record submissions, even at double the price. I simply don't think that's going to happen. If I'm one guy, I'm like, I'm not submitting anymore for a long time because it's too much. And so I think they're being very, again, you said it, they have a lot of smart people in that room, and they're going, look, we're going to work half as hard, be able to reallocate resources to other things and make the same amount. Now we're going to make the same amount of money for a while because we're going to lose half our submit. People are going to send in half as many cards, let's say, or maybe even less than that, but they're not answering to the public anymore. The private shareholders are going, look, we're willing. If I'm a private shareholder, if I'm Nat Turner, I would say, look, let's take a step. I'm willing to take a step back for a year or two so that later we can take 5 steps forward and do all these because I'm not a short shareholders, public shareholders think short term. They want to see next quarter's earnings, and they want to make sure that that's continuing to increase. As a longer term private investor, you have a totally different mindset. You're thinking, remember, this is what I do for a living, John. So I'm not just completely talking about
I hear you.
You have a much longer term perspective. You're like, I care what it is 10 years from now, not what it is next quarter. And so I'm willing, and they all had to agree on this pricing. Like this isn't like somebody woke up one day, Steve Sloan woke up today and decided to raise prices. This has been a long time coming, or at least a little while coming, and them thinking about it seriously. Like, what's the ramifications of this if we do this? And they're going, we're going to take a step back so that later we can take 3 steps forward. That is where I think they're going. What does that look like? I don't know. None of us know. I'd love to get Nat Turner on the show and have a nice talk with him. But it's good. I think it's good for the hobby, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's why it happened. I guess I don't like the fact that it happened. As someone who submits,
sure.
You know what I think happens, Mike. I think you're going to see it. People just buy. Tell me if you agree with this. I think cards that are already slabbed, on whatever platform you want to say there, My Slabs, eBay, ComC, you name the selling platform, people are going to go out and search for them and say, hey, I might have this card in a 9 or 10, but by the time I submit it, it's going to cost this. I might get upcharged. We talked about that. Well, why don't I just buy someone else's who already went through this process? It'll probably be cheaper to do that, even though I have the card in raw form sitting on my desk.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll send that to SGC for $20 and buy the card from a platform for $400 instead of having the whole process maybe cost me more than that to submit my own card. And so, I think that's
my 3,000 plus slabs all just went up in value incrementally today. Thank you, Steve Sloan. Not a lot. I don't think but there's a marginal difference now because you go, God, it's going to cost me $50 or whatever to get this graded. And I just think you're going to see a lot of the base cards and lesser cards, so to speak, in terms of raw value, just not get submitted anymore. The LeBron James rookies and the Kobe's and all that, those are all still going to, the Lucas are all going to get submitted because it's worth it, right? It's still worth it. And who said it? I don't know if it was you or I heard it somewhere today that they are now they want some of that money that slabbing a card, that instant appreciation of getting the right grade, of getting a 10, they want some of that money themselves. They're like, I don't want it just to go to this person. The kind of like Panini and doing their Dutch auction stuff, they just wanted some of that secondary market money, I guess is where. And I don't know. I'm not saying I like that either. To me, that's just pure greed. And that's not what this hobby should be about. To me, it should be about relationships and fun and nostalgia and connecting. And that's what this hobby, it's a hobby for crying out loud, people. It's a hobby.
No, I agree with you.
Say it all the time, but sorry, I digress.
You know what? Yeah, no, you know what I think, Mike? I think people have more of the problem. Tell me if you even agree with this. I think people are willing to bite the bullet on the financials, the money, if they didn't have to wait 7, 8 months. So if I guess what like you said here, they're doing this to create less cars coming in so they can catch up. If they can pull, I guess what I'm saying is if they pull this off and people get their cards back in better times, people are going to, take it better, the price increase. If this price increase happens, which it is not if, it is happening, and yet the times are still the same or worse or not significantly better, that's where I think they could get. Maybe trouble's too strong a word or PSA
They'll
here.
shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean they could lose some. I'll put it this way: maybe not trouble, but they can lose some of their market share that they're accustomed to having. It can erode away a little bit. And so, if you're doing something to cut down on the times, and that doesn't happen, and that doing something is raising prices, and then it doesn't happen, that's where you look bad, And so they don't look bad yet, sort of. I mean, just from past history, but this is a decision that had just happened today. So we gotta let the chips fall when they may, let the hand play out. Yeah, and so it'll be interesting. Like you said, let's see how this goes, and then sort of whatever time frame you want to put. Let's reevaluate 5-6 months and see how this decision sort of played itself out before we kind of give our grade on it. If our own, we'll grade them, you know what I mean, on their decisions. So
it sounds like I just need to come back on your show and we can reevaluate.
I think it's a date. I think it's a date. So
I just got myself invited back because I brought.
Yeah, that's how we just got to keep talking about grading. We'll do one a month, but it's such a hot button topic that even, let's be real, even people who don't participate in grading still comment on. I still see people comment on it, get upset about it. So some of the folks complaining about the price hikes don't even grade cards. They're just complaining because it's a price hike. And right. So, it's funny how grading sort of affects it. And it does affect everyone because, I think we both can agree that some of the grading decisions affect some of the values or what raw cards are going to now cost. I saw someone on social media today say that I expect raw cards to actually increase in value. Maybe even on like a platform like StarStock, where they give those grade assessments without them being officially graded. A StarStock A may all of a sudden be worth a whole lot more.
Sure.
There's so many repercussions from what happened today that if you're having fun in the hobby, it's going to be interesting to see. That's the beauty to me of the hobby, Mike. I've said this numerous times on the show, is what happens next. It's almost like a show on TV, and it's a 30-minute show, and they leave you. They don't end it, right? They're like, stay tuned next week to see the outcome. That's sort of where the hobby is now. Is, hey, this happened, and then you got to watch the next episode to find out. The end result. And it's fun. I guess some people want instant gratification aren't going to like it, but someone who, like you or me, that's been in it this long and we plan to stick around, we're willing to wait and see. So be interesting to say the least. So, but look, yeah, I definitely, we already said it. We'll have you back on. I want to thank you for coming on and bringing your insight, especially from the financial side of things, which I think is important. Like you said, you might not do it in yourself or me either for the financials, but there's an aspect of the hobby that definitely is. We can't deny it. And so
no doubt.
Bringing your expertise over, I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, Mike. Hopefully I'll see you. I'll see you at the National. Maybe apparently I might be in Texas. We're hearing. So
wouldn't hurt my feelings. I'd love it. You can come over here and come into my card room and check out the
Yeah, I got to see the beast.
That's right. The beast.
That's right. The beast. For those listening that maybe don't know, the few of you that exist, it's I don't know. It's like a card catalog, literally, like you'd see in the library. But that's where Mike has all his graded card inventory. Really cool, and I'm sure a lot of people out there trying to find one after seeing yours.
No, my dad and I custom built it. We custom built it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. That the ones you would see in like I would not fit. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we used that card catalog idea. That was my inspiration for it. And none of them that I found worked properly. So my dad's an amazing woodworker, and he has immense talent there. And I took my idea and translated it, and we worked on it together. It was a great father-son project. The memories are awesome. And I have this beautiful piece of furniture now that looks pretty darn good, and it's very functional, and it holds about 4,000 slabs. So.
I was going to say, but after seeing you lay them out on the table, there might need to be a Beast Part 2.
There might be the sequel.
The Beast 2.0 coming soon. So, all right, Mike. Hey, stay safe, stay healthy, and like I said, we'll see you somewhere, even if it's back on the show here in a couple months, and just we'll kind of revisit sort of what we discussed today.
I'd love to, John. Thank you.
All right, take care. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA submissions. They offer various service levels at the lowest prices around. They even provide the card savers your cards need to be submitted at no extra charge. Their elite status helps improve turnaround times, and their chat rooms keep you abreast of your subs and the status of your cards. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook, on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
All right, that's going to bring episode 118 to a close. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Mike as much as I enjoyed having it. Great guy. Like I said, very knowledgeable, passionate, loves the hobby. Not a lot more you can ask for from a person or a guest from the hobby. So we're going to have Mike on again, no doubt, for sure, down the line as well. I had a few things on my list we didn't even touch on, believe it or not. So as crazy as that might sound. So we'll have him on again. Again, I want to thank you out there in Hobbyland to make this show possible. Without you downloading it, listening to it, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here with all the guests, our sponsors, and everything that makes this show possible. I want to acknowledge that each and every week because it's important. So remember, Hobby Quick Hits, our shortest show, Mondays. This show with guests on Fridays. And Hobby Hotline, our multi-host show, Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So, again, keep the outro short and sweet. Just hoping everyone out there is doing well as things trend in a positive manner. So we'll see you in a week. Stay healthy, stay safe, take care.